Just got done sandblasting the hood, and before I start straightening edges, I wanted to take a minute to just give you a good look at it. One of the reasons that I love the 335 and 445 so much is mainly because of this hood and the fact that they actually built in a scoop. I mean, they really tried to make this thing look like a muscle car from the 50s, and they could have just fabbed this in and had it as a nice showpiece, but it's actually a functioning hood scoop. The intake, air intake to the oil bath mounts up right here, and so it's functional. It brings air in through that hood and sends it down to the carb. They've just, one of the many ways that Minneapolis Moline was way ahead of its time, for sure. And then you can see I've got some work to do here. That is where the muffler comes up. It won't on mine, but a lot of the times you found them with the mufflers up, and you found them beat up right here because they slammed the hood open right into the muffler. So I gotta fix that. The other neat thing is, if you can see inside here, that right there in the corner, right there, is probably the closest thing you're gonna see to good reserved prairie gold. That's gonna be original paint out of the factory prairie gold. We got one hood boss where the pin goes in, holds the hood on, and what it pivots on, and that side's completely missing. So I've got that other hood which has one hood boss on it. I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to put it on here, and then you can see this one, I'm pretty sure already busted off and was put back on once, because there's no way that came from the factory. But yeah, just absolutely love all the elaborate styling on these front quarter panels and the hood of the 445 and 335. It's just cool. So next order of business is I need to get this edge straightened out, this edge straightened out, and whatever else little dings I need to get straightened out yet tonight, and get this thing fit to those two side panels, so that this is just a nice flush fit all the way through, and then we'll be ready for the welder. I purposely haven't put any of the sandblasting on because I already did some of that earlier videos. I'll throw a link up, but yeah, there's only so much sandblasting that you can show. bad. I think I'm gonna go try it, see what it looks like. Okay, so you can see how far down this edge hangs and how far off the front this is hanging. I've got to take this edge for sure and pull it out. I can see that it's bent back in, so that's got to come out so that this whole thing sits back further. And then I've got to go through and address all those high spots to bring that hood down and make it sit nice. And I think this side will seal up a little better once I get the whole hood pushed back. But that's the next step. This is where I'm going to leave off for tonight. You can see I've got this edge, other than just a couple little spots yet, pretty well married up. The front, if I had the pin and the pin held it back, I think it would sit a little bit nicer than it is now, but I got some work to do there. The edges don't line up the best, so I still got some work to do. It's got a little bit of an overbite, but that's kind of how it wants to sit. I can't really get it to sit back any further. It just doesn't want to follow the contours that way, so not quite sure what I'm going to do there. But I do know when I get that pin welded in and I can actually lock it back the way that it should be, it'll sit a lot better. And then I've got to address this side a little bit. I don't know that I'm going to get that to sit down any further. Well, maybe a little bit further if I bend this swale back a little bit. But it's definitely not going to flush up like the other side. Nor do I expect it to, because you can see on my 445, I got the same thing on that side where the hood just didn't quite sit down as tight as the other side. And then I cut that piece off just roughly so I could get that other hood out of the way. And then unfortunately this is the other side, so that bend really should be part of this cowling, right? It should like fit in there, but of course this is backwards, so it is what it is. At least I have it, and I can get that cut out nice and welded on. So yeah, that's where I'm going to leave it tonight. Come out and do some more tomorrow. Alright, starting to work on some of the welding that I need to do. I've got to put this hinge point on the hood. I've got it all set up, cut out. I got to clean it off a little bit. I brought home the Miller Matic 252 from work, mainly because it's got argon and I don't have any argon, and I want to try to get as clean a weld as I can. I did a little bit of test welding on an old panel that I have just to make sure I'm not going to burn through or anything like that. And my biggest problem is going to be I don't take my time on things, so I have to keep telling myself to slow down and really take this at a slow pace, because otherwise I'll get in a hurry and I'll burn a hole, or I'll do something I don't want to do. So that's going to be the biggest struggle. Yeah, this is only the second time I've ever done any welding on like sheet metal auto parts, so it'll be interesting to see how I do here. Alright, so I'll just kind of let you watch. Oh, So this has got a little bit of a break in it here. I could see it from this side, but there's a little bit of brazing, so this has been touched up once before. Burnt a little bit. Well, hopefully I can do a little bit better when I do that hood piece. Okay, what I've done here is created a plate that I'm going to weld in that will support the pin for latching the hood. This is how it's set up on my 445. Again, I think after the fact. But I got to be really careful, because if I burn a hole, it's really going to suck. So, yeah, wish me luck. So, it's not the prettiest thing I've ever done, but I did not burn through, and you can see that there was definite penetration. And I'm so nervous about burning through there and making an even bigger mess for myself that's as far as I can go. I was able to grab onto that and yank pretty hard, and I didn't have an issue, so that should do what I need it to do. Okay, next order of business, I got to fill those in, and this little hole in the front. I have no idea why those are there or why you would do that, but we're going to try to close them up and make them look better. Okay, there is our new hinge point. Turned out pretty good. And then we'll move across to the front. I got this cleaned up pretty good. The hole is filled in the front. And then this one still has some pitting, so I think this whole front is probably going to see a little bit of Bondo, just to try to make it look really nice. And then I got the hood latch put on. You can see what that looks like. Pretty happy with that. And so I think this is where the hood is going to stay. It still has that overbite that I'm not super impressed with, but that's just where the hood wants to sit. And I can't seem to get the bend out of it to make it want to slide back further. All in all, I think it looks pretty good. This side sits a little bit higher, but most of them do. So other than a little bit of Bondo, the hood is pretty much done. And now we can move on to the side panels. This one's going to be pretty simple. I just have some holes to fill, really small holes that really won't take a whole lot of time. And then I move to the other side and I try to tackle the exhaust hole, which is really going to be the make or break for this whole thing. So I'm going to keep moving. All right, I've got the piece cut out to fill in the exhaust hole. It did exactly what I wanted it to. It follows the curvature because it came out of an identical fender piece, and these were all pressed in a mold. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start back here. I'm gonna get this thing tacked in back here where it's nice and flush, and then after I get this in, I'm gonna work some of this metal back around because this is all chipped out, and then just slowly rebuild all of that. So that's the plan. This is the make or break. We'll see how this goes. I am super nervous to do this. Okay, so after about 2 hours of welding and grinding, this is what I came up with. And for having never done a repair like this before in my life, I think it looks pretty good. You know, obviously I'm gonna have to put some Bondo over the top of it just to finish off some of these divots, but I'm happy with it. I think if I put a little Bondo on there, you're not even gonna be able to tell it was there. I think it's gonna look really good. So super happy about how that turned out. That's one of the biggest obstacles of this whole project done and over with. Okay, got a lot of things knocked out today. A lot of the really questionable things that I didn't know whether or not I was going to be able to do. So we got the hinge back on the hood. We got the hood to latch. We got the exhaust hole that was in the side panel filled. I filled 33 holes in total, and that doesn't include that exhaust hole. And as long as I had the welder at home, I figured I might as well get this done too. So there is the exhaust. It's all welded up now and ready to go. So after we're done painting, we can get that hung. So I've got probably another day worth of grinding and cleaning and sanding, Bondo, but yeah, then paneling is pretty much done and we can move on to getting this thing prepped for paint. I've been at this all day. It's been humid and hot and I'm exhausted, so I'm gonna call it a night here, and I'm gonna leave you guys with our 4th of July fireworks celebration from last night. I hope you enjoy. Thanks, everybody.
Yay! Yeah.
Woo!
America.
America!
You gotta go. Got it light up. Oh, you know it's a long one.
That's North Brass math.
Let's stop talking about the Vikings!
You can hear the shit hitting the trees.
Wait, is that a rocket?
Yep.
See ya. 200!
It blew out the bottom.
That was a big one. That made a square! Wow, that was loud. That made a square! Oh!
Oh my, that was tip over?
Oh!
I feel like it tipped over.
Might have. You wouldn't be shooting them up if it tipped over. I think it just blew out the side.
That was cool. Jesus.
That was awesome.
That worked out pretty good.
Hey, Dad, I think you're gonna get
America!
5,000. You're gonna get 5,000
Woo!
subscribers. Dad, you're gonna get 5,000 subscribers for this.
America!
I'm like, hell, I'm like, I am not about to get blown up today.
Wait, what do I do with the golf
That was
cart?
pretty cool.
Now you guys